he made $100 million, you know, and he's his own boss. He can say and do what he wants to do, having a great team.
Yeah.
Because no one person can do it by himself. That was the core of the team.
Gotcha.
You know, and it was a tremendous sacrifice, you know, especially for me. I worked like 15 years straight, 7 days a week, 20 hours a day.
Wow.
You know, that whole middle part of my life,
yeah,
it didn't exist. It didn't exist.
And now you have this egg on your face and things are falling apart. And now people are wondering, did you get screwed or was it your own financial ignorance and now you're bitter?
People taking shots at a great fighter, Mayweather. Probably the same people that were, applauding him and saying how great he was at one point. And now they're taking shots at him like they're almost, like they get pleasure out of seeing a great fall, potentially.
You're right,
fall.
but when you call yourself the money man, you do it to yourself a little bit too.
No, I can't argue with that.
The world of sports and high-stakes money has just been hit with a revelation that's hard to wrap your head around. Leonard Ellerbe, the man who spent decades as the right-hand architect of the money team's inner circle, has finally decided to speak up, and what he's saying lands like a direct hit on Floyd Mayweather's legacy. Ellerbe didn't dance around it or drop subtle hints. He came right out and confirmed that the $1.1 billion empire Floyd built through years of blood, sweat, and sacrifice has essentially been wiped clean. Looking back on his time working closely alongside the champion, Ellerbe admits that he never saw this kind of financial collapse coming, not even close.
Day one, what it is that, and they know, everybody laughed at me. They laughed at me. They said, oh, he just talking nonsense.
Leonard Ellerbe goes even further, pulling back the curtain on the deeper psychological side of this collapse. He explains that when someone reaches the kind of fame and success Floyd achieved, a dangerous shift in thinking often takes place. Criticism comes with the territory at that level, but for Floyd, the real battle was never actually inside the ring. It was a mental war fought against his own ego. The ultimate test for the boxing billionaire was how he responded to the intense pressure and scrutiny that came attached to his lifestyle. And according to those who were right there watching it all unfold, the ego won every single time.
When you're on top, when you're at the top, you can expect criticism. It just comes with success. And it's all about how you handle things. And me personally, none of it's personal.
Ellerbe calls it the biggest what-if in the entire history of professional sports. He expresses real regret over the fact that Floyd Mayweather Jr. had every single tool needed to become the world's first true athlete mogul, someone who could have stood right alongside icons like Jay-Z, Michael Jordan, and Magic Johnson. If Floyd had applied even a small fraction of the same discipline he brought to his boxing training into his business decisions, he would be sitting on a solid, generational empire today. Instead, he chose style over substance. Reckless choices, a complete absence of long-term thinking, and a hunger for fast money turned what should have been a lasting business dynasty into something far shorter-lived.
Right.
But he was the first one that had a team surrounded by him. That our focus was the business, and his focus was the boxing. And in turn, we built the brand, built Mayweather Promotions.
Yeah.
And Floyd became his own boss.
Want a clear sign of just how deep the trouble runs? Look no further than the very public and embarrassing feud with Logan Paul. In a moment that has made the entire boxing community cringe, Logan Paul is openly and loudly calling out the man who once branded himself TBE, the best ever. Logan claims he is still sitting and waiting on a $1.5 million payment owed to him from their exhibition fight. The irony is almost too much to ignore. A man who spent his entire career throwing stacks of $100 bills around on camera is now allegedly dodging a debt to a YouTuber. This is not just a simple disagreement over contract, it is a loud and very public signal that something has gone seriously wrong behind the scenes.
Waiting on the 1.5 from Floyd Mayweather, he made this video simultaneously with the beef with Le'Veon, and I don't know, maybe it's coincidence, maybe it isn't.
Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao 2. The fight nobody asked for except me. I need this because if Floyd wins, he can finally pay me my $1.5 million. I don't care about the legacy fight. I don't care that these men have a combined age of 100 years. I care that Floyd Mayweather, the best boxer alive, uses those same hands that made him 100 million to Venmo me my money. And Floyd, if you're watching this, win win it and pay me back, or I'm gonna send my goons after you. Gotcha. Hey.
I really don't know why I watched that. Yeah, listen, dude. Logan is, again, functionally a coward for not doing this. I was really excited for it, too. I couldn't wait. That was about to be content, stud. But, I mean, okay, yes, I understand if he is under...
Legendary boxing analyst Teddy Atlas has noticed a painful and unsettling shift in the way the public now sees the champion. The very same fans who once chanted TMT and celebrated every display of Floyd's wealth are now the ones leading the ridicule. Atlas points out that people are openly laughing at what many are calling his greatest downfall. The cheering has turned into jeering, and that delivers a harsh but important lesson about the world of money and image. When you build your entire identity around showing off wealth, you risk facing the humiliation of losing it all in front of the entire world.
Mayweather, Money Mayweather, and now he's suing because he went through his money, blew his money, whatever. Look, I don't know what the truth is fully in there. I know Steven Espinoza was named. He ran Showtime at the time. He was named him. I never was a fan of Espinoza. Again, I'm not afraid to say and not mince my words when I feel a certain way. And I've taken arrows for it, and of course I've also taken some praise for it. That people say, hey, Teddy's going to say what he feels. I was never a fan of him. I never thought he was a man that kept his word. I never thought he really did a great job over at Showtime. I mean, they put some good fights on because the fights were available.
In a surprising and unexpected twist, music mogul Wack 100 has entered the conversation with a completely different point of view. He argues that Floyd Mayweather is not broke in the way most people are using that word. Wack 100 claims that Floyd is rich in something else entirely: peace of mind. He insists that Floyd remains completely unbothered by the gossip, the social media noise, and what anyone on the outside thinks of him. Wack 100 suggests that while the bank accounts may look messy and the lawsuits keep stacking up, Floyd's spirit remains undefeated. But critics are firing back with one very straightforward question: can peace of mind cover a $340 million legal bill?
Right now,
What's that?
his peace of mind. When I send him things, like I send you things when it's pertaining to you, when he gets the time, he'll call me and he say, hey, Wack, what's that? And I tell him, he said, that's nonsense. He said, well, as long as they trying to figure me out, they not gonna be able to figure out what they need to do. And he continues to move. I will say this without saying too much, that I've seen him pass on some big deals based upon business he already has on the table. But again, I've been to his home. I talk to him regular.
Former champion and one of the sharpest minds in boxing, Pauli Malignaggi, has put his finger on the fatal flaw in Floyd's entire approach to life. He argues that if Floyd had simply kept his finances private and stayed out of the spotlight when it came to his money, nobody would be questioning his wealth or his status today. But by constantly pushing his riches in front of the camera at every opportunity, Floyd essentially handed every auditor, every tax agent, and every federal investigator a reason to take a much closer look at his life. He made himself the biggest and most visible target in the country, and now that visibility is coming back to hurt him as authorities begin peeling back the layers of his empire one by one.
Right? And Floyd himself was flaunting himself like he was the guy who was making that kind of money. And for all intents and purposes, I assume he was. Everybody assumed he was, and it seemed like he thought he was because he wasn't complaining. He was showing off, you know? This is why, as I get older, I feel like, and everybody always tells you this when you're young, like, keep your finances private, you know, and this is why I think this is a big reason why. First and foremost, you notice that if you don't keep your finances private, everybody and their mothers ask you for money constantly. And they don't ask you for...
That happens either way.
And they don't ask you, well, people assume you have money, but if you flaunt it, you definitely, they confirm you have money. And they don't ask you for money like you need to buy the Rolex or the Lamborghini. They'll guilt you into it. They need their mother's dying in the hospital. They need to pay for a funeral. Their kid is sick. Like, they guilt you into it.
This has gone well beyond rumors and has now exploded into a full-scale legal war that could shake the sport of boxing to its foundation. Floyd Mayweather is currently suing his former business partners Showtime and Steven Espinoza for a staggering $340 million, claiming that massive amounts of money were deliberately hidden from him during his peak earning years. And while his longtime advisor Ul Heyman is not directly named as a defendant, The lawsuits are piling up so fast and from so many directions that Floyd looks like a man trying to fight a war on 10 different fronts all at the same time.
Go through in this video. Now, I've been covering boxing for double-digit years. Allow me to take you through it. A simple Google search shows Floyd Mayweather. You type in his name, you're going to see some fight photos and whatnot. But the top stories, and there's multiple stories, and we're going to take a look at some of them. But as mentioned, Business Insider is now reporting what you see on the screen, that Floyd Mayweather is being accused in lawsuits of owing millions of dollars for luxury watches, gold, and rent on palatial apartment, right? The bullet points. Floyd was sued for allegedly failing to pay rent.
Perhaps the most telling detail in this entire story is the Miami condo situation. While Floyd was busy posting pictures of private jets and million-dollar watch collections on social media, he was allegedly falling behind on rent for his own luxury Miami apartment. A local couple who owns the condo came forward claiming Floyd had fallen behind by $500,000 in rent and that, after making a few initial payments, he went completely silent, ignoring every single attempt to collect what was owed. This pattern of dodging bills while continuing to spend lavishly is the classic textbook warning sign of an athlete standing right on the edge of total financial collapse.
Represents the $500,000 in arrears plus late fees minus a deposit that Mayweather paid at the start of the lease and the $100,000 catch-up payment. So they deducted what he did submit when he was made aware of this, the $100K, and I guess a deposit. So the remaining balance is that. An attorney for Mayweather did not provide a comment by deadline. He has not responded to the lawsuit in court. In a separate legal matter, so we've already went over one with this luxury condo in Manhattan, right? But a separate legal matter, a Miami jeweler sued Floyd Mayweather last month, alleging the boxer owes more than $1 million for jewelry that he took.
Paoli Malignaggi and Chris Algieri sat down to break down the actual math behind this collapse, asking the question that everyone is already thinking. How does a man who earned hundreds of millions in a single night against Manny Pacquiao or Conor McGregor end up in this position? They explained that at the peak of his career, losing track of even one secondary income stream could mean a loss of $50 million or more. When you are managing money at that scale, a small 5% accounting error is not just a minor mistake, it is a devastating amount of money. And those small oversights have been quietly compounding over the past decade, slowly creating a financial black hole that is now swallowing everything he has built.
Like, there's guys who have a lot of money, okay? For me, I could go into a jewelry store, spend $20,000 at the time, like nothing. Like, you know what? I didn't plan on going there. I bought a Ferrari. I went with my friend to go check out a Ferrari he was gonna buy. I went there and I'm like, I got this in my account. I could buy this right now. You know, like that. You know, and I'm not saying that's smart. But what I'm saying is,
your accountant must have loved you.
yeah, really. but what I'm saying is, I got good money for that when I sold it.
I'm just
The used car market came back at the time. But anyway, what I'm saying is, it could go like that, okay? That kind of money. But bro, $340 million? That's not Ferrari, but that's a lot of Ferraris, a lot of houses.
But Floyd had a lot of Ferraris, and that's the thing about Floyd. Like, yes, is that way too much money? Yes, that's.
Analysts are now drawing a haunting comparison to the downfall of Iron Mike Tyson, suggesting that history is repeating itself in the most tragic way possible. Just like Tyson before him, Floyd was surrounded by a large entourage of people who may have been taking full advantage of his trust and his limited understanding of finance. Malignaggi emphasizes that none of this happened overnight or because of one bad year. It was a decade in the making. It is the same story that has followed boxing for over 100 years. A fighter who can defeat any opponent inside the ring, yet stands completely defenseless against the sharks waiting for him in the boardroom.
And at the height of your career.
$340 million? There's nights where you didn't make that much money in a night.
But we heard about stuff like this with Mike Tyson back in the day. Yeah. Big money losses, people taking advantage of him, a number of different things. Now, all that being said and done, 10 years is the point. That is the major point of all of this. Because when you look about this now, 10 years, where does this come from? It makes me think that someone's gotten in his ear. And maybe, where does this come from out of nowhere? Is he going through the books now? 10 years later? No, of course not. Someone else is. Someone else is probably telling him, hey man, this is like this, this is like that. So you
think it did happen?
I don't know. I think regardless of whether it happened or it didn't,
but that's what I'm wondering.
Unless it's coming out of nowhere, unless he literally is just getting just
he's losing his mind because there's a lot of rumors about him losing money, right?
Losing money, being I don't want to say destitute.
Veteran journalist Dan Raphael says he is not the least bit surprised by any of this. In fact, he argues that anyone who was truly paying attention to Floyd's lifestyle could have seen this coming from a long way off. Floyd lived a life that demanded a constant and never-ending flow of cash. Private jets flying empty just to pick up a suit, convoys of 20 luxury SUVs rolling through the streets, and $1,000 a night hotel rooms for an entourage of 50 people. Raphael points out that social media was never just a marketing tool for Floyd. It was actually a digital confession of his own financial self-destruction playing out in real time for the whole world to see.
That Floyd would encounter some financial issues post his boxing career is not in any way a surprise to me. When you see the types of things that, if you believe anything that he puts on his social media, the travel that he does, the places he goes, and the amount of entourage he has, I mean, that's like a money pit. I mean, whether you're flying on private jets or you're staying at first class hotels, or you're buying expensive jewelry and cars and bags and you name it. I mean, it's all good when you're making those gigantic paydays and they're coming in, a couple times a year. You're making 40 million here and 25 million there, or even more, 100 million plus, when he fought the big mega fights with guys like Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao. But when that stops, that money.
Raphael closes with a sharp and sobering warning to every athlete and celebrity out there. No matter how much money you make, if you consistently live beyond what you can realistically sustain, the math will eventually catch up to you. Even the record-breaking paydays of the money era were not enough to support a lifestyle with no budget, no boundaries, and no grip on reality. This is no longer just a story about a boxer. It has become a global cautionary tale about what happens when ego goes completely unchecked and when someone buys into the deadly illusion that the money will never run out.
40 million, it just didn't ring true to me, because Al Heyman, who is not named in the suit, but apparently is supposedly part of this problem, whatever. But I mean, I've known Al Heyman and covered Al Heyman's fighters and his business since the day he stepped in boxing in like 2002 with Vernon Forrest. And all that time, and literally in terms of the PBC, a couple hundred fighters that he's dealt with, maybe not personally, but that his team is and his company. To a fighter, you never hear anybody, even when they're retired and they're not with Al anymore, nobody talks bad about him. In fact, if you ask most fighters, they'll tell you how good to them that he has been, that type of money that they've helped him make, and the person that.
A closer look at the details of the $340 million lawsuit reveals some truly jaw-dropping claims. Floyd is alleging that despite earning over $1 billion throughout his career, a massive portion of that money never actually made it into his personal bank accounts. He is directly accusing Showtime and former network president Steven Espinosa of playing an active role in what he describes as deliberate financial mismanagement. Floyd claims that money generated from the two biggest fights in boxing history, the Pacquiao and McGregor bouts, was quietly funneled into accounts controlled by other people, leaving him walking away with far less than he was ever promised.